AI can surface patterns. It's UX's job and the user interface's job in order to frame them. The most important part is balance, making sure that we know when it's really important to interrupt the user's flow and when it's better to just stay out of the way. There's many times when something that is so important that no matter what someone's doing, it really needs to be called to their attention, or a whole lot of money and time can be lost. So it's really important to understand when to bring those things into focus and when something that is just noise can be pushed off until a later time. So the biggest responsibility of designing a UI for something that helps AI bring focus to the user is knowing when to be there and when not to be there. And for things that need to be addressed by the user themselves at some point in time, you can tuck them away for another point in time. You can offer different ways to notify them. Sometimes there's the phone, sometimes there's email, sometimes a user would like to be notified via Slack. So there's different methodologies that you can use to notify the users. The most important part is empowering them on how they want to be notified. Some people do not like a blinking cursor to be thrown in their face all the time, but other people really find that important. So offering them the options of how and when they should be interrupted in their flow is really important. Once again, the key is balance. You got to know when to interrupt them, and you need to know when to stay out of the way. I'm a big fan of adaptive interfaces. I think that you can never know how people are interacting with your product. Some people are going to be using their phone. Some people are going to be using a tablet. Other people are going to be on a browser screen that's a mile wide. So the really important part is building a lot of that functionality into the interface itself. And it's not about offering several different versions of your interface, so developing a whole bunch of different crazy one-offs. It's about designing one global interface that can adapt to the device that they're using, who's using them, what are they doing, when are they using it. It's about asking the questions. It's about understanding context of user intent, context of user involvement. A lot of times what's really important is getting that personalization. You really want to personalize the interface, and you want to do it without distractions. There are points in time when you really need to understand someone's on a smaller device, there's a limited amount of space, and the most important things really need to rise to the top, or they need to not be brought out of their current flow. They need to have something like a drawer, something like a notification system, something that doesn't break them from the work they're doing to bring the information to them when they need it brought to them. You don't want to have someone have to travel completely away from their workflow in order to make the adjustment to something else. It's our job to make sure that if I'm in the middle of my workflow and something needs to be brought to my attention, that I can work through that additional workflow, but yet still go immediately back to what I was working on. So those distractions need to be crafted in a way that it never takes them away from either their primary objective or the secondary objective that was brought to them. Interfaces should evolve, and if you're building your design system in the correct way, then your interface can be evolved in a progressive, enhancement way. You don't want to ever completely change a pattern. You don't ever want to completely change a design interface or iconography or colors or anything else without slowly stepping someone in the right direction. There's been many use cases out there of really successful companies such as Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of the big video services where people got very frustrated because of all of a sudden they used to do things in a specific way and they can no longer do it that way. They have to completely change their flows, completely relearn an interface, completely relearn a system of events in order to accomplish what they used to do in a specific manner. So our job in design in general is to lead the user in the proper direction without confusing them. Design defines intent. Engineering defines possibilities. So finding that middle ground can be tricky sometimes. The most important thing is to understand what is possible and then designing around what is actually possible. So if I was to offer you an interface that can ingest data from 18 different sources, but it was incredibly slow, my job is to break that up into logical steps and to only bring the information to you in small chunks that can make it feel as if it was your personal assistant, as if someone's only given you the information you need when you need it. Engineering tends to have access to a whole lot of possibility. A lot of times design is pulling the user's intent out of those possibilities and utilizing the best of technology in order to create the best of user interactions. When both of these are working together, when they're working in rhythm, you get flow, you get a cohesive interface, not friction. In our industry, and a lot of times in software industry in general, you measure success in seconds. You measure success in the confidence earned from your users. So if there's mistrust in what you're building or the way that you're displaying it or how it comes to you, or when you sprinkle in AI and it's not relevant to what you're working through, then there will be a lack of trust. So it's really important that we build confidence and trust with our users, because a lot of times you only have seconds, maybe a minute, in order for a user to get value out of what you're trying to build for them. Our job is to build interfaces that feel seamless, interfaces that feel like they're a personal assistant, interfaces that seem like even though I'm in one place, it's a lot like it was in the place I was before. To casually and intuitively bring the user from one step of a process to another step of a process, to bring intelligence to them in a way that is consistent and cohesive. The most important thing is empathy. You want to understand your users. You want to understand what their pains are. You want to understand how to alleviate those pains. You want to be able to build an assistant that's valuable for them. A trader has much different workflow than a CFO. A trader has a whole lot of different important priorities that are put in front of them at any moment in time than a CFO does as well. So creating interfaces that speaks to the users, sprinkling in AI that brings intelligent decisions and intelligent insights to those users at that moment in time is critical. We want to build trust into our interfaces. And if during a crisis you don't feel like you're trusting what is being put in front of you, then we would have failed. So it's really important for us to speak to our users, understand our users, and understand what is most important to them and when it's most important to them. And that's only done through constructive conversations, feedback at all times, and using all the tools that are at our disposal in order to make the best interfaces we can possible.